Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to round 4 of the Rejectrucks Super Series. Here we are, and for the first of the Canadian rounds, we are at Kawartha Speedway in Canada with Richie Foley, who has not scored a point yet this season, on the pole with a 17.76 lap. That's a pretty blistering pace there by Foley. Sasha Hawk on the outside of the front row in the number 68 Toyota. Hawk driving for the Vasquez Racing Team. They were quickest in preseason testing at Phoenix, but they've only scored 2 points so far this season. Ernesto Raya and Joaquin Marco on row number 2. Sandra Sessler and Lance Brown on row number 3. Row 4, points leader Jackie Gardner, who won last time out, and Yaelin Mori, his last scheduled race in that 99 truck. Dmitry Vitkin in truck 13 and Wayne Shepard in truck 98. The W2 racing truck on row number 5. Yaropolk Petrovic and Del Vecchio in the Ram. Del Vecchio has a teammate this race. We'll get to him later. Manny Geinhardt Jr. and Rick DeGley Jr. in row number 7. Row number 8, Terry Stein, the second of the Rojo trucks, and Fidrik Arneson. Row 9, Quinton Vosch, truck number 40, and JP Kankanpa in truck 42. Julius Svangere, who is flying solo this week because, of course, Ryan Nitfeld injured during an IFRC race, and truck 91 was not entered, so he is running this one by himself. And the second of the Ursus trucks, Steve White. Second in the championship, Ryan Zimmer heads up row 11 with David Bloom on his outside. Bloom in the second of the 3 Rams in tonight's race. Soap Stever makes his debut, replacing Brandon Cutmore in truck number 3, driving for plus one, and on his outside is Del Vecchio's new teammate, Giovanni Rota, in truck number 28. And at the back of the grid, Steven Generic, who had some problems in qualifying. They didn't get the lap they wanted, but that 14 truck definitely on the pace with some of the rest of the field here tonight. So, 25 strong, as was usual. We didn't actually expect to get 25. We were only actually expecting getting 24, as we saw there from the helicopter shot. The number 28 truck, Giovanni Rota, right here at the back of the grid, was very much a last-minute addition to the field. And there you see Soap Stever in that number 3 truck. Very much different from the Brandon Cutmore machine that had been running the first 3 races of the campaign. So we're about a couple seconds away from the trucks to roll off the dummy grid, and then they will be getting underway. There's Steven Generic shotgun on the field in the number 14 truck.
Start your engine!
And the engines have been fired. As now, the pace car does some a Joey Chitwood style stunts over there as Richie Foley getting ready to lead the field to the green flag. 25 trucks getting ready to take the green. And there they get it. Richie Foley leads the field into 1. And Foley doesn't... very slow start. Looks like Foley kind of bobbled a little bit there. And let's have a bit of a wider look here as you look at the spectator camera mounted on top of the grandstands as Hawk goes wide. And there comes the Rojo truck of the number 10 truck. Ernesto Raya into second. Sessler moving into third as Hawk is going backwards. Since this is the Rejectrucks Super Series, let's see who's in the back of the field. Look, no surprise, it's David Bloom. And there comes Gardner in the number 4 truck, trying to work his way forward. Jackie Gardner, the Aero Racing Holden. There goes, Sessler way high. Dmitry Vitkin in the 13 trying to make things happen. Not much going on out front with Richie Foley sort of running away with it right now. Raya trying to run the outside. I don't know why, but he is. And Jackie Gardner now on the inside of Sessler. We're looking at him because he is leading the championship in this number 4 truck. After winning the last race out, he has twice finished in the top 5. And no other driver has done that, believe it or not. He's the only driver to have finished in the top 5 in 2 races this season. So, I guess it's not really a surprise why Jackie Gardner is the championship leader. And let's go a little further back through the field. Let's find Ryan Zimmer, his closest title rival, in truck number 31. On the inside right there. Whoa, big run there. We had a bit of a stack up there on the outside. as somebody might be in trouble there. Soap Stever in the number 3 is actually really making his way forward. But he did appear to be causing a bit of a jam up there. There's Delvecchio in the green 22. Julius Svengere. Oh, contact there between the 90 and the 22. Really liking the spectator camera. Might stay with it for a while. You can really see quite a bit. And there's... Oh, we got Soap Stever around on the front straightaway. And that's the first caution of the evening. And I think we may have someone piling into that. As Soap Stever goes into orbit. And Steve White in truck 25 is going to round out is rounding out the field. He is currently in the David Bloom seat, we like to call it. That being last place. And let's see what happened to Soap Stever before he hit 88.8 miles an hour and went back to the future. Alright, so we knew Soap Stever was a very interesting human being, but we had no idea he was able to do some incredible feats of aeronautics like that. So let's have a look, see what happens. The 22 of Delvecchio. Delvecchio's been in the wall already, so he gets off forward, guns it in the back of the 3, and around he goes. And we should be seeing blast off in the background. No, I don't think we see it, but there's not a whole lot to see from there. When Soap Stever finally gets the parachute out of the back of that thing and lands somewhere in Lake Michigan, we'll just have to go get him. There's been something going on with that 3 team all week, and I think we finally figured it out. That they really were just planning some kind of crazy stunt here. Trying to, upstage Felix Baumgartner's jump from space. Trying to get a truck to go into space. I see. So... Richie Foley in the 15 currently leads. Not a whole lot more to say there. And running right behind him, Ernesto Raya in the 10, and Joaquin Marco in the 11. So, interesting start to the evening, but there's the BMW pace car. I don't know why this series has a BMW pace car. I would think a BMW pace car would be well out of everyone's price range here, but, be that as it may. Besides, this is the Rejectrucks Super Series. I wouldn't put too much money into a pace car. I think what a van might have done would have done just fine, seeing as some of the shenanigans we have seen this season so far. Ernesto Raya running, holding on to second right now. He had a pretty good start in that number 10 truck. The Rojo Racing team, they had their home race out in Mexico, the second race of the season, and they really did impress as much as they could down there. Walt Disney World, however, things got a little bit heated as the 2 Rojo trucks actually collided with each other, as we have a camera that zoomed in way too far. So we're getting ready to go. Back to green, and here we go. I got the restart while I wasn't paying attention because that was a very slow restart. As, we got Yaropok Petrovic in the 54 going inside Gardner. And for a minute I thought we went back under yellow because the 11 truck really slowed coming off turn 4. That's the Marco machine. Yaelin Mori in the 99. Power move on the inside. And no, Mori's headed into the pit lane. So the 99 truck, Yaelin Mori, headed into the pits. So, and we've got Fidrik Arneson is back in pit lane as well. I wonder if something was going on with the 5 truck. And there's the camera. Oh, we're under yellow again. Let's find out why. Let's see if anyone else has decided to emulate our good friend Soap Stever's aeronautics performance. Okay, so we're watching Fidrik Arneson. Now, he's in the pit lane. We're about to find out why. See if there was, or if he just went in under his own volition. And he appears to have slowed coming off, and he missed the pit entrance. Oh boy. There's one thing you don't want to do when you have a mechanical problem, that's missing the pit entrance. And I have a feeling that's what drew the caution. Waiting for the pace car lights to come on to see if that actually was the case. Okay, so when the pace car lights turned on, who was in the wall, who was around? I don't think anybody, so it might have been the 5 truck. that I think it's reasonable to assume that it was the 5 truck that ended up drawing the caution. Soap Stever, we have gotten word that he has finally landed, and he has been greeted by many well-wishers. And when I mean well-wishers, I mean also people that are concerned about property damage. So I would assume nothing until we hear the full story, but all alleged, obviously. So we'll have to see how that develops. But clearly, this is a very interesting evening. As you see, we have the split pit lane here. Because Kawartha, obviously, it's not really used for anything bigger than, for an event as big as this. Take that however you will. So there are 2 pit lanes here, and in order to accommodate all 25 reject trucks. So, you know, the trucks that qualified at the back have to use the inside pit lane. So you see, that's why Giovanni Rota's back there. So the top 20 qualifiers use the... And why has everyone stopped? The top 20 qualifiers use the outside pit lane, and then everyone else uses the inside pit lane. So, the 68 of Sasha Hawk is in. David Bloom in the 44, a bit of a long stop for him and his Ram. There's Rhoda in one of the other Rams in tonight's race. There's a couple of trucks off the lead lap, Rhoda being one of them, along with Rick DeGly Jr., Yeleen Mori, David Bloom, Julius Svangeray, and Fidrik Arneson, obviously. But Arneson in that 5 truck has got some more serious problems he needs to attend to. Oh, Sasha Hawk in the 68 truck. Long stop. Long stop for that team. The Vasquez Racing team. So they've got quite a few issues to attend to. And going back to the front of the field, there's Richie Foley. The American has not exactly had an ideal start to the season in his Gotham Racing Ford, but he's going to have an interesting problem here in this restart, and that's that 28 truck of Giovanni Rota, who has never raced in this series before, in that 28 truck. So I think Foley might be be warned to be very much aware of all those lap trucks on the inside, one of them being David Bloom, and I would especially be worried about him. But Giovanni Rota in that 28 doesn't have a whole lot of experience. Granted, I don't think too many of these guys have either, these other ladies and gentlemen. But there we get the green. Let's see how this develops. Foley's going to have to watch out for Raya there. Now, if Rota gets by the 15 and he gets a quick caution, he's back in the race. Oh, David Bloom's around. Why am I not surprised? Well, that was only a matter of time. David Bloom in the 44 got a little bit of help from Julius Svangeray, most likely because Svangeray did make a dive there, but I don't understand why David Bloom then shot his truck all the way across the track and hit the 41 as well. So, carnage! Carnage everywhere. Another look at the helicopter camera to see how the 44 got involved. 44 got taken out. Sandro Sessler running it. Oh, the 44 got a bit loose coming off too. And I think Bloom may have actually been going for pit in, which if he's going to do that without signaling the truck behind him, he kind of gets what he has coming to him. So, David Bloom in the 44, just magnifying his own problems, really. Dmitry Vitkin, the 13's got a fair bit of damage. I wonder where that came from. Let's see here. What happened to the 13? So on the inside of Geinhardt and around... Oh, the 90 comes... Oh, David Bloom came very close to wiping him. And, there we see. Bit of, looks like Svangeray pinched the 13 up the track into the 17 of Manny Geinhardt Jr. And Geinhardt wasn't exactly going to give way and just kind of turned the 13 into the wall. So I think Manny Geinhardt is probably not terribly pleased with the antics, what he probably thought was Dmitry Vitkin's antics, when in fact that was the 90 truck of Svangeray being a bit... And, what are we doing? What are we doing? Why? What's going on here? Anyways, well, Ryan Zimmer is, well, I have a feeling there's going to be an interesting conversation between these two guys. I'd really want to be a fly on the wall during that conversation. Ryan Zimmer, second in the championship, Steve White. Oh, that's going to be an interesting meeting. As we have gone back to green in the meantime. And Richie Foley, who was leading, is in the pit lane for some reason. He must have had a really slow pit stop, which is going to put leading the race. And we have a lot of people ducking for pit lane, so this is very hard to keep track of everybody. We have to bring up our little scoring monitor here. There we go. Ryan Zimmer in the 31, interestingly enough, is scored as the leader. So, after all of that, after all those interesting shenanigans under caution, Ryan Zimmer is leading. I have a feeling the 15 pitted because he was having a problem with that truck. It's a big disappointment for Richie Foley. But given the amount of carnage we've had at Walt Disney World and that we've had here, 28 laps into this 100-lap race, he could still get points. I wouldn't rule him out for an outside shot of points. Foley hasn't scored a point yet this year. Steven Generic in the 14 truck has moved up into second. Jackie Gardner's just taken second. So we're watching Ryan Zimmer. Let's go to the spectator camera as something happened before that last restart. Oh, Ryan Zimmer entering pit lane. Wonder why. Unless they're calling him in. Why is Yaelin Mori pitting over and over again? The number 10 truck of Ernesto Raya, we do believe was given a black flag after that restart because he's running all the way back in 12th. He's still in the lead lap, but or no, wait a minute. He restarted a bit higher than that. So that must have been the 15 that got a black flag, not the 10. So Ernesto Raya dropped back a bit on that restart as Steven Generic in the 14 is currently leading and isn't that far behind him. There's Yaelin Mori leaving the pits for what seems like the 80th time. Steven Generic in this 14 truck, the Gentemp Racing truck. That's a Canadian team, so they're doing very well here in front of the home crowd. Steven Generic, of course, one of the more interesting paint jobs, and I use that word as PC as I can. Fill in the blanks however you like. But Steven Generic, he's got a lot of trucks on his inside that I don't think he's too happy with. But he's got to be careful because here comes the 4, Jackie Gardner, in the Aero Racing Engineering truck right behind him. Trucks 4 and 11, the Aero Racing trucks, both in the top 5. So is the Build English D Hasselhoff Motorsport SHP, driven by Yaropolk Petrovic, currently running in 3rd. But as you may have noticed, the number 4 of Gardner struggling a little bit with these lap trucks. Right there, that's sort of white and red 54. There's Petrovic as he begins to reel him in, and the Ram of Antonio Del Vecchio coming into the picture as well. As here we go on the inside, here comes Petrovic on the inside of Gardner. Petrovic clears the 4, and around he goes. But we got Gardner trying to fight back on the outside, and I'm sure Steven Generic's loving this, seeing all this in his rearview mirror. And it looks like the 54 of Petrovic is going to clear the number 4 of Gardner, as Quinton Voss in the 40 just scraped the outside wall. Del Vecchio's gotten by Gardner as well, and I think Gardner may just be trying to save his tires or something. I can't imagine tire wear would be a big issue here, but I wonder if he's just worried about running into one of the lap trucks and hitting the wall, and maybe just not aware of who's in the lead lap and who's not. If that's the case, I could certainly believe it. Either that or Gardner just wanted to get back into the inside lane rather safely. Considering how many of these trucks already have battle damage, it's not a bad idea on his part. As Steven Generic continues to lead in the number 14 truck. Going back a little further in the field, the number 7 truck, Rick DeGlide Jr., there he is, teammate to Soap Stever. who I think should be should be applying for a job at NASA as soon as he possibly can, is currently running in 9th. Sandra Sessler in 8th, right in front of him. Sessler now going around Ryan Zimmer in the 31. There was reports that Ryan Zimmer would have a teammate for this race, but that has not yet come to pass. And if he was going to have a teammate, the hot rumor says that it will be the IFRC regular Silvia Rinaldi. Oh! Sessler in the wall. Wayne Shepherd in the 98 joining this mix. As well in the 98, we're looking for the battle for 8th, 9th, and for 7th through 10th here. A little hard to keep track of everything. Ryan Zimmer sitting back there. There's Terry Stein, the one of the other Rojo trucks, the second of them rather. There's 2 of them in the race. Trucks 9 and 10. Frederick Arneson is running back in 16th, looking for the race leader. There's the Jochen Marco. Steven Generic has actually just lost the lead to Yaropolk Petrovic, but he's fighting back to get it. Oh, a little bit of contact there. Right behind him is Jackie Gardner in the truck number 4. Gardner loving the looks of this, and there's his teammate right behind him, Jochen Marco, in the number 11, the Austrian, really having a strong run tonight. There is the 54 of Petrovic. Petrovic wide, coming off 4, and... Or it's coming off 2, sorry. There's the next truck that the leader is going to encounter. That's JP Kinkanpa and David Bloom. So I have a feeling they are probably shivering at that thought. Jackie Gardner and his teammate running nose to tail. I don't think there's any team orders down there at Aero Racing. The problem with team orders when you have drivers as hard-headed as the ones in the Rejectrucks Super Series is that, as you can see right there, they're not very good at following orders. So even if there are team orders, they're not listening. So good for them for putting on a show for the fans here tonight as Marco takes over second. And here comes the 54. 54, Petrovic. This is his best run by far. That 54 team, the Hasselhoff Motorsports team, has really had a bit of a trying time. They started off with Kenan Ardaglu at Adelaide, but Ardaglu left after one race, and Petrovic has sort of jumped into this ride, and he's been there pretty much ever since then. The number 4 truck of Gardner, hanging on right now, but there comes that 54, and I think he's going to be worried about him, as well as the 22 of Antonio Del Vecchio. I'm surprised we haven't had another yellow yet, because considering how this race started, well, there's Steven Generic, who is in his own zip code right now. So anyway, fastest lap of the race right there is held by Giovanni Rota, and on debut, he currently holds fastest lap, the only truck into the 17.6s. Actually, that's a fair margin for fastest lap on a track this short. So Giovanni Rota, at least he's doing something. Even if he may not get points, he may at least wind up with fastest lap of the race. Steven Generic leading. Jackie Gardner is trying to get by his team. Oh, we got one of the Ursus trucks. That's Steve White into the wall. That's going to draw a caution, unsurprisingly. And what was he doing way out there, that wide? He gets wide, coming off 4, hits the wall. Oh, there's that little extra piece of the wall that kind of juts out there, and White hit that, and he, that's what drew the caution. So Steve White, the Australian, not exactly the way he'd like his race to end. Because judging by all that smoke coming out the back of that truck, he's not getting back on the racetrack with it like that. And oh, look at the aero racing trucks ran into the back of each other. Oh, that's the well, that's a little I wonder what was going on here. There's Marco. I wonder if Marco... I don't know why Marco would have suddenly stopped right there unless his spotter told him he needed to be behind somebody else. And Gardner just ran right into the back of him, not expecting that, which, if that's the case, I can understand that. Because the 25 had not yet committed to pit entry yet, and I wonder if the spotter was telling... If Marco's spotter was telling him he needed to line up behind the 25 who was coming into the pits. So, well then, I dare say though, if there's anything more than that, then well, there could be a lot more to that than we think. There could be some bad blood between Marco and Gardner, but we're not. I have nothing to suggest one way or the other. Quinton Voss. His Toyota. Quinton Voss in the Urix truck. The Urix Grand Prix, number 40. They've had a rough year with that truck, that's for sure. He's even though he is 12th in the championship, he's just had a really rough evening. He's dropped out of 2 of the first 3 races. So Quinton Voss wants to turn that around tonight. We're over halfway through this this race. And Steven Generic, truck number 14, currently leads. Generic is equal 10th in the championship with Dmitry Vinkin and Quinton Voss. Generic has 15 points, and he is obviously wanting to increase that total. Pace car lights are off, which means he's going to be peeling in this lap, and then we'll be back to green flag racing. Generic, truck number 14. Off of 4. And coming back to the green flag, Steven Generic in his Holden leads the field to the green. The Gen Temp racing truck has been out front for most of the evening. As Marco slides it a bit wide in 1, there's so many lap trucks that it's going to make this very, very challenging for some of the leaders. As David Bloom now jumps up into the outside, he's a couple of laps down. David Bloom, who was showing off one of his washing machine collections earlier in the week for no reason whatsoever. As Generic continues to lead here, he's got JP Kinkanpa right in front of him, but that 42 truck I don't think is going to pose that much of a threat to him. Looking now there's Svangerai, there's Marco, and Gardner Richie Foley in the 15. Oh, Svangerai wide. Richie Foley's evening is and I think we may have a spin somewhere. As a 17 is slow on the inside, but I guess not. Someone may just have slid it sideways, but not hit anything. Manny Geinhardt Jr. very slow on track in that 17 truck. So, oh, there's the 4. That's Jackie Gardner, and the yellow is out now. Yellow is out now. So cautions breed cautions. That old adage holding true to this day. And now we're going to see what happened here is, oh no, that did not involve Jackie Gardner at all. That involved Yaelin Maury and David Bloom. Maury pushes up coming off turn 2 and just runs right into the back of the 44, and Jackie Gardner just navigated his way through there very slowly. Very good driving by Gardner. David Bloom, I wouldn't necessarily say an innocent victim. I would say more a target, because that's a bit truer to form. Generic still leads. We're on 2/3 distance. And now the Gen Temp truck, the number 14, Steven Generic leads. Second, the number 11, that is the Aero Racing Engineering Holden of Jochen Marco. Third is the Il Baron Rampant Ram, and I know I'm not pronouncing that correctly, the Il Baron Repent, not the name of the truck, the Ram, of Antonio Del Vecchio. Then Yaropolk Petrovich, the Russian, in the Hasselhoff truck. Then the 31 Holden with Ryan Zimmer in the Zim Sport machine. Then the Team James Davies truck, the number 18 Toyota, Sandra Sessler. The second Aero Racing Holden, Jackie Gardner. Then we got Dmitry Vitkin in the Rondon Transport and Logistics Chevrolet. And then the one of the Team Rojo Toyotas, that's Ernesto Reyes. So far, he's at least getting something out of tonight. And then the W2 Racing Machine, Wayne Shepard is running in 10th in the his Chevrolet. So we're about to get ready for the restart. And of course, the points go down to 10th. 25 Reject Trucks started tonight's race. How many of them are left? 22. Yaelin Mori is currently running in last. He is 6 laps down, which isn't really a surprise given how short this track is. And we get the green again. Generic still leading. That very interesting paint job on that truck. As very, very slow start for the 11, as Marco is going to fall into the clutches of Del Vecchio, and Kankanpa in the 42 is unintentionally getting in the way. But there you see Generic letting him go, but no, I think Generic really wants to get by him, even though the 11 and the 22, his main rivals, are going to have to get by Quinton Voss in the 40 in order to really mount much of a challenge to him. So, oh, whoa, Foley pushing up the track a little bit, as Petrovich and Del Vecchio got together coming off 4. Petrovich in that 54, it looks like he slid up the track into the side of the 22. Almost took both of them into the wall in a big way, and that's the battle for 3rd place. Ryan Zimmer in that blue, orange, and white 31 truck coming into the mix, along with, that's one of the Team James Davies trucks. It's not Sandra Sessler. Sessler a bit further back. As Petrovich hits the wall, coming off 2 in the 54. So Petrovich having his night not exactly going well, as Ryan Zimmer making a move on him. There's Ryan Zimmer in the 31. Winner at Mexico. Ryan Zimmer, the Australian, and are we under caution again? I do believe we are, and if we aren't, then we probably are now. Yeah, we are under yellow. Question is, what for? Because these caution lights are not necessarily the easiest to see around this track from that camera angle. Now let's find the pace car and see when the lights came on. And now we play the interesting game of who was in the wall when the pace... Oh, Wayne Shepard in the wall with Sandra Sessler. Looks like one of the Rojo trucks. Wayne Shepard looks like he came in a bit, pinched down on the Rojo truck a little too much. Got around, and Sandra Sessler into the back of him. Pretty easy mistake to make. Ernesto Raya, no worse for wear. Ernesto Raya, the number 10, as you look at him from the helicopter view, which magically moves over to the 14 of Stephen Generic. Generic, number 14, leads the race still. He's really been the dominant power here tonight. No one's really been able to touch him. And if you look at that truck, you might notice that there's something that's not on that truck, and that is damage. There's not a whole lot of there's a couple of marks on that 14 truck. I think everybody has some kind of damage, but the 14 just has the least damage out there. Nothing really has gone too wrong for him, but yeah, this 14 truck really is sort of had an easy time of things up in front. So I don't think he's had too much of a challenge, but at the same time, he's not exactly having things too easy either, because he does have to deal with all these lap trucks on each one of these restarts, and is making his life quite a bit difficult. But it's making it worse for everyone behind him. So Generic's earning his money out there tonight, but maybe they can use that money for a new paint job. But regardless. Oh, David Bloom. Why are they letting him out on the racetrack? Look at that thing. Looks like what happens if someone took Robot Wars to the front of one of those things. who lets Sir Kill-A-Lot out of his box. Anyways, a box he's arguably been hiding in for 12 years. Anyways, coming off turn 4, Steven Generic leading the field back to the green flag. And here we got the restart. Generic in his the Gen Temp Toyota has really led the whole way. He's wide off too. Oh, and he hits the wall. Right as I said, he'd been making he had a pretty clean race and nothing really gone wrong for him. He's brushing the wall and now he's wide off 4 just a little bit. And but Marco not able to pounce. Not able to pounce at all. Marco trying to dive to the inside, but he's not really close enough to make a move on the 14. That could change in a hurry. As Generic, no, he's just gonna follow Generic around the outside. I don't understand why you'd want to do that at all. Oh no, here he comes on the inside. Marco on the inside of the 14, coming down the back straightaway. Marco on the inside, and doesn't quite have him cleared. Generic fighting back. Delvecchio sliding up in the background, and we got a new leader. The Aero Racing Engineering number 11 of Joaquin Marco. Well, if that caution period doesn't prove that commentator's curse is not 100% real, then I'm not sure really what you want to believe. As there is the 11, Marco working out through the lap traffic, and Steven Generic is going to try to reel him back in, but Generic really got a really awkward restart. Just seemed like he was off his game. Arneson on the inside of the 11, and this could be exactly what Steven Generic needs, is a lap truck. These lap trucks, some of them are racing each other for position, and I think we're under yellow again. Yes, we are. I beg whoever really is running this racetrack, please make the caution lights a bit more visible to these camera angles, or at least let the monkeys that operate the cameras go in places where you can actually see when the yellow lights come on. Thank you very much. That would be much appreciated. Alright, so who brought the... Oh, looks like Manny Geinhardt Jr. in the 17 on the front straightaway. And looks like we have another truck that's gone into space. Either that or someone else has decided to become part of the Uwe Ball movie Descent. At least I think that was an Uwe Ball movie. I can't really be sure about that, but either way, oh. As our camera died, apparently. Alright, so here we come. Off of 4. And around goes the 17 and the 22. The 22 sinks into the earth because obviously Doug Trio is there. And he was airlifted out by, well, aliens. We believe that truck is about to get deposited back into the pit lane, so I wouldn't worry too much about him. I do have to say, though, whatever aliens are messing with us tonight, please stop. Joaquin Marco is currently leading with Steven Generic second. We don't have too much left in this race. And Dmitry Vitkin currently third in his Chevrolet. He's had a pretty rough night. Sessler fourth. I think Dmitry Vitkin will be definitely celebrating this one. That team, I think after the repair bill, they're going to need it. They're going to need something to celebrate. Sandra Sessler, Petrovich, and then Jackie Gardner, Wayne Shepard, Ryan Zimmer, Ernesto Raya, and Rick DeGlide Jr. Those are the top 10, as we now have the green. Coming into 1, We got there's Yaelin Mori in the 99. He's making things a little bit troublesome for the leaders, but nothing too out of the ordinary. Giovanni Rhoda in the 28 and Fidrik Arnason in the 5 are going to be a bit more troublesome, I believe, because they, of course, they're side by side. At least the leaders have somewhere to go everywhere else. But you might have noticed also that the 14 is now boxed in behind Kinkanpa and several other lap trucks, giving Marco pretty much fair sailing out, free sailing out there. Marco's got a fairly big gap on the 14 now. So Generic really has got his work cut out for him as Sessler goes by in the 18 in one of the James Davies trucks. And her teammate right behind her, Manny Geinert Jr. Geinert almost acting as probably the best teammate out there, because he's just staying right behind the 18 and forming a bit of a wall as Generic is got in the middle of a 3 wide situation that I don't think he wants to be in. Remove that little overlay there so that you can see the see what's going on back there. There is the 14, very, very wide there. Not much going on around the 11. He's really kind of vettling away from everybody else at the moment. As Sessler now has to get around Quinton Voss, Manny Geinert. Oh, we got the 13 in the wall, I think. Yep, Vitkin in the wall. I don't think he's going anywhere. Yep, he went wide, and into the little wall, a little opening, little piece of wall that's just sticking out right there. I hesitate to say it's an Elliott Sadler wall, but it's the closest thing we'll get to it. In the meantime, Marco continuing to lead, but the yellow is out. I'm not sure if this will end the race or not. I hope it doesn't. I'm not quite sure what for. We'll have to find out exactly which reprobate hit. I have a feeling this may actually be for the 13 truck, so Vitkin may have drawn the caution. Yeah, looks like the 13 drew the yellow, so. Well, we may get a 1 or 2 lap shootout here. Hopefully we do anyways. If we don't, then Jochen Marco will be the winner. If we don't, and Sandra Sessler will wind up second. Sessler, interestingly enough, came into this race 4th in the championship on 23 points. Gardner leads it on 36. Ryan Zimmer, coming into this race, was 2nd on 29. And then Julius Fangere on 25. Sessler on 23. Yaelin Mori, who, as I mentioned earlier, is not going to be running in this series after this race. He is on 22. Jochen Marco is on 20. Nessa Raya also on 20. Del Vecchio on 18. Wayne Shepard on 18. Steven Generic, Dimitri Vitkin, and Quinton Voss all entered with 15 points, and Steve White in the 20, who's in the number 25 truck on 14 points. So that's how they entered this race and as far as the championship is concerned. Yay! We're going back to green. All right, we don't have. Hopefully, we get another green. This goes green to the end. But since this is within 10 laps to go, this will be a single file restart. Jochen Marco, in other words, is going to have Yaelin Mori right behind him, and then Sandra Sessler. Now, depending on what Mori does, this could make this restart very interesting. So we're going to watch the 99 to see what happens here. Sandra Sessler could take the win here, but here we go. There's the green. Decent oh, Sessler, not such a good restart there in the 18 truck. As somebody was sliding around in the back. And now, Manny Geinert Jr. not quite taking the lane away from his teammate, but Sessler very high up on the racetrack, having to catch that thing. But, Now, Manny Geinhardt Jr. on the inside of his teammate, but at the same time, I don't think Sandra Sessler is going to have a run on Yaelin Mori. Jochen Marco's got clear sailing ahead of him. He just has to complete one more lap. And now, it all looks like Geinhardt did back off and let the 18 through. And we're gonna end this one behind the pace car or not? No, that was the white flag lap. So that was actually the finish of the race. Oh, as you can tell, I'm clearly on top form. So there you have your winner, Jochen Marco in the number 11 truck, and Sandra Sessler, best ever finish in second. Ernesto Raya in the number 10 truck, despite everything that happened to him tonight, most of which I missed. He's gonna wind up third. Steven Generic in the 14 truck soldiers home to fourth. There you have also the 54 truck of Petrovic in fifth. Sixth, the W2 Racing entry, Wayne Shepard. Then you have Rick Taglaya Jr., Ryan Zimmer, Jackie Gardner in ninth. And there you see Manny Geinhardt Jr. Well, he did wind up 10th, so I think there may actually have been a reason for him to be racing his teammate as hard as he was. Vidkin Delvecchio, who the aliens may be returning to us sometime soon. Steve White, Sasha Hawk, and Soap Steve are all out of the race. Soap Stever, I do believe all the property damage he may have caused when he landed might be irritating some locals quite a bit. So with the thought of that firmly in your mind, keep the next race of the Rejectrucks Super Series will be in just a couple of weeks. So, anyways, until then, please keep your conspiracy theories to yourself about Martians, because even though this race is obviously proof that aliens are real, we would not want you to think too hard about that because you might go insane. Thank you and good night.